Hey guys, tonight we're going deep. We're talking about the Aztecs, but not the history you read in textbooks. We're peeling back the layers to the truly unsettling, almost unfathomable mystical practices that defined their very existence. Imagine it, if you will. The humid air of Tenochtitlan, thick with the scent of copal incense and something else. You're standing on causeways built over a vast lake, surrounded by towering pyramids, their stone surfaces still damp from the morning mist. The sounds of distant drums echo, a rhythmic pulse that seems to vibrate in your very bones. You glance up at the sky, a vast, indifferent canvas, and you feel a shiver, not from the chill, but from the sheer weight of what's to come. This isn't just history, it's a journey into a worldview so alien, so demanding, that frankly, you probably wouldn't last 5 minutes. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And hey, if you're listening, drop your location and local time in the comments. It's always wild to see how far these stories travel. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You find yourself standing on the precipice of an ancient world. A world where the very fabric of existence was a delicate, often terrifying, balance. For the Aztecs, the cosmos wasn't just a backdrop. It was a living, breathing entity, constantly in flux, constantly demanding. You see, their universe was a series of layers, both above and below the earth, each ruled by a pantheon of gods who were less like benevolent overseers and more like powerful, capricious forces of nature. Think of it as a cosmic engine, perpetually running, but one that required constant fuel, constant attention, lest it sputter and die. The atmosphere within these sacred spaces was intense, a potent blend of awe, fear, and reverence. The air was thick with the scent of copal incense, mingling with the metallic tang of fresh blood. The rhythmic drumming and chanting of the priests created a hypnotic, almost trance-inducing soundscape. Visually, the temples were vibrant, adorned with intricate carvings, murals, and offerings, a kaleidoscope of color and symbolism. You could feel the weight of centuries of devotion, the echoes of countless prayers and sacrifices pressing in on you. It was a place where the veil between worlds felt incredibly thin. You're not just a passive observer here, you're a participant, albeit a very nervous one. You feel the ground beneath your feet, the Tlaltic pack, the Earth's surface, the middle layer of this grand cosmic sandwich. Above you, 13 heavens stretch, each a domain of specific deities, from the cloud serpent gods of rain to the ultimate dual god, Ometeotl, residing in the highest heaven, Omeokon, the place of duality. Below, 9 underworlds descend, a shadowy realm known as Mictlan, the destination for most souls after death. A journey fraught with peril and demanding its own set of rituals. The academic debate still rages about the precise extent of the priesthood's political power. While the Tlatoani, the emperor, was the supreme political and military leader, the high priests held immense spiritual authority. Did their interpretations of omens and calendrical cycles truly influence state policy? Or were they primarily spiritual advisors? Some historians argue that the priesthood formed a powerful counterbalance to the secular rulers, wielding significant influence over decisions of war, peace, and public works. Others suggest that while respected, their role was primarily ritualistic, serving to legitimize the ruler's authority rather than directly challenging it. It's a complex dance of power, where the sacred and the secular were so intertwined that separating them becomes a scholarly Gordian knot. This isn't some abstract philosophical concept for the Aztecs, it's their lived reality. Every sunrise, every rain shower, every harvest, every birth, and every death is a direct consequence of this cosmic dance. And you, as a human, are not merely an inhabitant, but an active, crucial component in maintaining this delicate equilibrium. It's a bit like being a tiny cog in an enormous, incredibly complex machine. Except if you don't turn just right, the whole thing might explode. No pressure, right? The priests were also the guardians of knowledge. They were the scribes who recorded history, mythology, and calendrical information in codices. They were the astronomers who meticulously tracked the movements of celestial bodies, predicting eclipses and aligning temples. They were the educators, passing down the vast body of Aztec wisdom to the next generation of nobles and priests. Their intellectual prowess was as crucial as their ritualistic expertise. They were, in essence, the ancient world's combination of a spiritual leader, a university professor, and a very intense meteorologist. The Aztecs believed in a cyclical universe, a concept that permeates every aspect of their mystical practices. They weren't just living in this world, they were living in the fifth sun, the current cosmic era preceded by four others, each ending in cataclysm. The first sun, Nahui Okalotl. Forte Jaguar was devoured by jaguars. The second sun, Nahui Ehekatl. Forte Wind was swept away by hurricanes. The third sun, Nahui Quiahuetl. Forte Rain was destroyed by a rain of fire. And the fourth sun, Nahui Adel 4. Water, it was swallowed by a great flood. You can almost hear the cosmic alarm clock ticking. Can't you? This constant awareness of past destructions fueled an intense, almost desperate need to appease the gods and ensure the continuation of the fifth sun. Nahui Olan 4 movement, the era of humanity. You might observe the priests performing purification rituals, bathing in sacred waters, or engaging in ritual fasting before major ceremonies. These acts were believed to cleanse them, making them fit to approach the divine. They were constantly striving for a state of ritual purity, a necessary condition for effective mediation with the gods. It's like preparing for a very important meeting, but instead of ironing your clothes, you're abstaining from food and piercing your tongue. This belief in cyclical destruction and rebirth isn't just a historical fact. It's a profound, terrifying motivator. You can imagine the daily anxiety, the constant vigilance. Every tremor of the earth, every unusual weather pattern, every bad omen would be interpreted through this lens of cosmic fragility. It's like living with a permanent low battery warning light for the entire universe. And you're the one responsible for finding the charger. The role of the priesthood extended into every aspect of Aztec life. They officiated at births, marriages, and funerals, guiding individuals through the major transitions of life. They were consulted for advice on everything from agricultural matters to military campaigns. Their presence was pervasive, their influence profound. They were the spiritual backbone of Aztec society, ensuring that the delicate balance of the cosmos was maintained, day after day, year after year. At the heart of this cosmic balance is the concept of Teotl. Now, this isn't just God or divinity in the way you might understand it. Teotl is more like a dynamic, impersonal, sacred energy or force that permeates everything. It's in the sun, the rain, the earth, the plants, the animals, and yes, even in you, it's the life force, the divine essence that makes things what they are. When you walk through the bustling markets of Tenochtitlan, you're not just seeing vendors and goods, you're seeing manifestations of Teotl. The corn, the obsidian blades, the vibrant feathers, all are imbued with this sacred energy. You are left with a deep appreciation for the dedication and complexity of the Aztec priesthood. Their lives were a testament to unwavering devotion, a constant effort to appease the gods and ensure the continuation of the world. And their sacred sanctuaries, from the towering pyramids to the humble household altars, served as vital points of connection, places where the human and the divine could meet, often in ways that were both awe-inspiring and profoundly disturbing. It's a chilling thought, isn't it? To live in a world where your very existence depended on the constant, meticulous, and often bloody work of these spiritual guardians. This understanding of Teotl is a unique detail that often gets overlooked. It means that every interaction, every action, has a sacred dimension. It's not just about worshiping distant gods. It's about engaging with the divine energy that flows through all things. Well, it's a bit like living inside a giant spiritual power grid, and you're constantly trying to tap into it, to channel it, to keep it flowing. You've explored the cosmic architecture, felt the calendar's pulse, met the demanding gods, and witnessed the rigorous lives of the priests within their sacred sanctuaries. Now, you're about to venture into a more ethereal, yet equally disturbing aspect of Aztec mystical practice, their use of sacred plants to achieve altered states of consciousness. This wasn't about recreation, it was about communion, about seeking direct communication with the divine, and about peering beyond the veil of ordinary reality. The gods themselves are not static beings, but dynamic forces, often embodying duality. Take Ometeotl, the ultimate dual god, residing in the highest heaven. Ometeotl is both male and female, creator and destroyer, light and darkness. From Ometeotl sprang the four Tezcatlipocas, who then created the world. This duality is crucial. For every life-giving force, there's a destructive one. For every creation, a potential for chaos. It's not good versus evil in a simplistic sense, but rather opposing forces that must be kept in harmony. Imagine the Aztec world, teeming with life, where every plant held a potential secret, a hidden power. For them, certain plants were not just flora, they were Tionanacatl, flesh of the gods, imbued with divine essence and capable of opening pathways to other realms. This is a common historical fact. The Aztecs, like many indigenous cultures, utilized psychoactive plants in their religious ceremonies, but their approach was deeply ritualized, steeped in reverence and fraught with spiritual peril. It was a bit like taking a very intense, very spiritual shortcut to the divine, with no guarantee of a smooth landing. You're constantly navigating this complex web of divine personalities. There's Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent, god of creation, wind, wisdom, and patron of priests and merchants. He's the one who, in some myths, descended to the underworld to retrieve the bones of previous generations to create humanity. He's the intellectual, the benevolent force. Then there's his dark counterpart, Tezcatlipoca, the smoking mirror, god of the night sky, destiny, sorcery, and discord. He's the trickster, the bringer of both fortune and misfortune, often associated with war and sacrifice. Imagine trying to keep both of them happy at the same time. It's like trying to please both your incredibly strict boss and your rebellious teenager simultaneously. Good luck with that. The most prominent of these sacred plants was the mushroom, specifically Psilocybe mexicana and other related species, often referred to as Tionanacatl. You might envision a priest, or a designated ritual participant, carefully consuming these fungi in a dimly lit chamber, perhaps within a temple or a secluded cave. The experience wasn't meant to be pleasurable in a recreational sense. It was a profound, often challenging spiritual journey. They sought visions, prophecies, and direct messages from the gods. It was like a cosmic conference call, but instead of dialing in, you were eating your way to enlightenment. And then there's Huitzilopochtli, the hummingbird left-handed, the patron god of Tenochtitlan and the god of war and the sun. He's the one who demands constant nourishment, specifically in the form of human hearts and blood, to ensure the sun continues its daily journey across the sky. Without this sustenance, the sun would falter, and the fifth sun would end. This is where things start to get truly disturbing. Isn't it? The cosmic balance isn't maintained by good vibes and positive affirmations. It's maintained by a very real, very visceral exchange. Another powerful plant was Ololiuqui, the seeds of the Turbina corymbosa vine, which contain ergine, a compound similar to LSD. This is a unique detail while less visually dramatic than the mushroom. Ololiuqui was equally potent and widely used, particularly by diviners and healers. You might see a shaman preparing a concoction from these seeds, perhaps mixed with tobacco or other herbs, to induce a trance state for diagnosis or prophecy. The visions induced by Ololiuqui were believed to reveal the causes of illness, the location of lost objects, or the outcome of future events. It was their version of a crystal ball, but with a much more organic delivery system. The Aztecs believed that the gods had sacrificed themselves to create the current world, and therefore humanity owed them a debt. This debt was paid through various forms of sacrifice, the most potent being human blood and hearts, considered the most precious offering, the very essence of life. Chalchihuatl, precious water. You can almost hear the collective sigh of resignation from the Aztec populace. Oh, the sun needs blood again. Right? Who's up? Then there was Peyote Lepophora williamsi. Though its use was more prevalent in northern Mesoamerica, it was known and occasionally used by the Aztecs. Its mescaline content induced vivid hallucinations and a heightened sense of spiritual awareness. You can imagine the intense sensory overload, the kaleidoscope of colors and patterns, as the user transcended ordinary perception. For the Aztecs, these weren't just trips. They were sacred encounters, direct dialogues with the divine. This constant need for cosmic nourishment means that every aspect of Aztec life is intertwined with ritual and sacrifice. It's not just a yearly event, it's a continuous, ongoing process. You see priests performing auto-sacrifice, piercing their ears, tongues, or genitals with obsidian blades or agave thorns, offering their own blood to the gods. It's a personal act of devotion, a way to contribute to the cosmic balance on an individual level. You might wince at the thought, but for them, it's a sacred duty, a small price to pay for the continuation of the world. Tobacco, or piquietl, was also a significant ritual plant, though not typically used for its psychoactive properties in the same way as mushrooms or ololuqui. It was often consumed as snuff or smoked in pipes during ceremonies. Its smoke believed to carry prayers to the gods. It was also used in purification rituals and as an offering. You might see a priest blowing tobacco smoke over an altar, purifying the space before a major ceremony. It was their spiritual air purifier, ensuring the divine connection was clear. The very landscape around you is a reflection of this cosmic understanding. The mountains are often seen as sacred entities, repositories of divine power, sometimes even personified as deities themselves. Caves are portals to the underworld, places of both danger and profound spiritual significance. The lake itself, Texcoco, on which Tenochtitlan is built, is a sacred body of water, its currents and depths holding their own mystical secrets. The preparation and consumption of these sacred plants were highly ritualized. They weren't just picked and eaten, they were gathered with reverence, often with prayers and offerings made to the plant itself. The person consuming them would undergo purification rituals, fasting, and abstaining from sexual activity for days prior to the ceremony. The setting was crucial, often dark, quiet, and sacred spaces, conducive to introspection and spiritual communion. You wouldn't just pop these in your mouth while watching a ball game. It was a serious, life-altering commitment. The Aztec calendar, a common historical fact you might recall, is not just a way to track time. It's a map of the cosmos, a guide to the rhythms of the gods. The 260-day ritual calendar, the Tanalpahuali, and the 365-day solar calendar, the Jupahuali, interlock to form a 52-year cycle. At the end of each 52-year cycle, there's a moment of profound anxiety, a fear that the world might end. This is the new fire ceremony, a massive ritual performed to ensure the sun would rise again, to rekindle the cosmic flame. Imagine living with that kind of existential dread every 52 years. Your midlife crisis would be a literal crisis of cosmic proportions. The purpose of these altered states was multifaceted. Primarily, it was for divination and prophecy. Priests and shamans would consume these substances to gain insight into the future, to understand the will of the gods, or to diagnose spiritual ailments. They sought answers to pressing questions. Will the harvest be good? Will we win this battle? What is causing this illness? The visions they received were interpreted by experienced spiritual guides, who understood the complex symbolism of the Aztec cosmos. The academic debate still rages about the precise nature of the Aztec relationship with their gods. Were they truly terrified, acting out of pure fear of cosmic annihilation? Or was there a deeper, more reciprocal understanding, a sense of partnership in maintaining the universe? Some historians argue that the emphasis on fear is an oversimplification, a colonial interpretation that fails to grasp the nuances of their spiritual devotion. Others maintain that the sheer scale of human sacrifice points to a pervasive, almost overwhelming anxiety about the world's end. You can almost hear the hushed whispers in dusty university halls, scholars poring over ancient codices, trying to decipher the true motivations behind these disturbing practices. Another purpose was healing. Illness was often seen as a spiritual imbalance, a result of divine displeasure or malevolent forces. Shamans would use psychoactive plants to enter a trance state, diagnose the spiritual root of the illness, and then prescribe ritualistic cures, which might involve further plant use, offerings, or purification. It was a holistic approach to medicine, where the body, mind, and spirit were inextricably linked. You observe the daily routines, the way the people move, the way they interact with their environment. Every action seems to be imbued with a sense of purpose, a connection to the larger cosmic order. The farmers tending their chinampas, the floating gardens, are not just growing food, they are participating in the cycle of creation, nurturing the earth, a manifestation of Teotl. The artisans crafting intricate featherwork or carving stone sculptures are not just creating art, they are channeling divine energy, giving form to the sacred. The academic debate still rages about the precise interpretation of the visions induced by these plants. Were they purely psychological phenomena interpreted through the lens of Aztec cosmology? Or did the Aztecs genuinely believe they were interacting with divine beings and traversing other dimensions? Some scholars argue for a more pragmatic interpretation, viewing the visions as a tool for psychological insight and communal bonding. Others emphasize the profound spiritual conviction, suggesting that for the Aztecs, these experiences were undeniably real encounters with the divine. It's a fascinating intersection of anthropology, pharmacology, and theology, where the lines between belief and reality become wonderfully, terrifyingly blurred. Even the architecture reflects this cosmic worldview. The pyramids, like the Templo Mayor in Tenochtitlan, are not just temples, they are cosmic mountains, symbols of the sacred earth, connecting the earthly realm with the heavens. The twin shrines atop the Templo Mayor, one dedicated to Tlaloc, the rain god, and the other to Huitzilopochtli, the sun god, perfectly embody the dual nature of their universe, the necessity of both water and sun for life, and the constant need to appease both forces. You can imagine the intensity of these experiences, the sensory distortions, the vivid hallucinations, the feeling of ego dissolution, and the profound sense of connection to something larger than oneself. It was a journey into the unknown, a deliberate surrender to forces beyond ordinary comprehension. It's like voluntarily jumping into a cosmic washing machine, hoping to come out spiritually cleansed, but knowing you might just end up completely disoriented. As you stand here while feeling the subtle vibrations of this ancient world, you begin to grasp the profound depth of their mystical practices. It's not just a collection of strange rituals, it's a complete, all-encompassing worldview. A cosmology that demanded constant vigilance, constant reciprocity, and ultimately, constant sacrifice. It's a world where the line between the sacred and the mundane is blurred, where every breath you take, every step you make, is part of a grand, terrifying, and utterly captivating cosmic dance. You're not just observing history, you're feeling its weight, its demands, its unsettling beauty. The use of these plants was tightly controlled, primarily by the priesthood and specialized shamans. It was not for the common person to casually experiment with. Misuse was likely punished, as these were sacred tools, not recreational drugs. This controlled access ensured that the experiences were guided, interpreted correctly, and served the collective spiritual needs of the community. It was a powerful spiritual technology. And like any powerful technology, it required careful handling. You're still standing amidst the vibrant hum of Tenochtitlan, feeling the pulse of a civilization shaped by time, not the linear time you're accustomed to, but an eternal, meaningful, and sometimes terrifying cycle. For the Aztecs, the calendar wasn't just a tool for counting days, it was a cosmic map, a prophetic book, and a ritualistic instruction manual, all rolled into one. You find yourself drawn into its rhythm, a rhythm that dictated every aspect of life, from the planting of the first seed to the grandest festivals, and even the existential dread of cosmic annihilation. Even the depiction of deities in Aztec art sometimes reflects the influence of these altered states. Some scholars suggest that the intricate, often surreal imagery found in codices and sculptures might have been inspired by the visions experienced under the influence of psychoactive plants. The swirling patterns, the hybrid creatures, the merging of human and animal forms, all could be echoes of these profound, non-ordinary experiences. You're aware of the Aztec calendar. As a common historical fact, there were two primary calendrical systems. First, the Tanalpahuali, the 260-day ritual calendar, and second, the Xiuhpohuali, the 365-day solar calendar. They worked in tandem, like two interlocking gears, creating a larger 52-year cycle. Imagine having two clocks, one with 260 marks and another with 365, and you're waiting for that precise moment when both hands align at their starting point. It's a rare, momentous, and deeply anxiety-inducing event. The rituals involving these plants were often accompanied by chanting, drumming, and specific prayers, all designed to facilitate the spiritual journey and guide the user through the experience. The environment was carefully prepared, often with altars, incense, and symbolic objects to create a sacred atmosphere. It was a multi-sensory immersion, designed to transport the participant beyond the mundane. Within these sanctuaries, the tools of ritual were themselves sacred. Obsidian blades, razor sharp and gleaming, were used for heart extraction and auto-sacrifice. Copal burners, often shaped like deities or animals, filled the air with their fragrant smoke. Elaborate ritual drums like the huehuetl and teponaztli provided the rhythmic pulse for ceremonies, their beats echoing through the temple compounds. Priests wore elaborate regalia adorned with feathers, jade, and precious metals, transforming them into living embodiments of the gods they served. You might hear whispers of individuals who had profound, life-changing experiences through these rituals, returning with new insights, a deeper understanding of the cosmos, or a renewed sense of purpose. For them, these weren't just visions. They were revelations. Divine truths unveiled. It's like getting a direct download from the universe's operating system, complete with all the secret codes. Each day in the Tonopahwali was named by combining one of 20-day signs like crocodile, wind, house, lizard, serpent, etc., with a number from 1 to 13. So you might have a day that's 1 crocodile, or 7 wind, or 13 flower. Each of these combinations carried a specific spiritual significance, an omen, an energy of its own. You might see a young mother consulting a calendar book to name her child, seeking a name that would bring good fortune and a favorable destiny. Or you might observe a farmer deciding the best day to plant his crops, based on the day's inherent energy. It wasn't arbitrary, it was a careful calculation, a communion with cosmic forces. The practice of using these plants also highlights the Aztec belief in the interconnectedness of all things. Plants, animals, humans, and gods were all part of the same living cosmos. And the plants served as a bridge, allowing communication and interaction between these different realms. It was a recognition of the inherent sacredness of nature and the power it held to reveal divine truths. The Sukhpo-Wali, the 365-day solar calendar, was divided into 18 months of 20 days each, plus a 5-day unnamed or unlucky period at the end of the year, known as Nemontemi. This is a unique and little-known detail. These Nemontemi days were considered extremely inauspicious. You'd see people restricting all important activities, shying away from ceremonies, even significant conversations. These were days where you held your breath, waiting for the fortunate days to return. Imagine a 5-day holiday where everyone is terrified, where you just stay home, trying not to do anything that might attract negative divine attention. It's like an ancient version of a 5-day Friday the 13th. You are left with a sense of awe, and perhaps a touch of unease, at the Aztecs' willingness to delve so deeply into the realms of altered consciousness. Their use of mystical plants was not a casual indulgence, but a profound spiritual quest, a dangerous yet necessary journey into the heart of the divine. It was a testament to their unwavering belief that the answers to life's deepest mysteries, and the key to maintaining cosmic balance, lay not just in sacrifice and ritual, but also in the visions revealed by the flesh of the gods. It makes you wonder what secrets they truly unlocked, doesn't it? The interlocking of these two calendars created the 52-year cycle, an Aztec century. As this cycle drew to a close, there was an immensely significant and anxiety-ridden event, the new fire ceremony. You can practically feel the tension in the air as the 52-year cycle nears its end. People would clean out their homes, break old pottery, and extinguish all fires. Tenochtitlan would plunge into a chilling darkness and silence. Everyone would gather on a specific hill, waiting. The fear that the sun might not rise again, that the world would end, was palpable and real. You've journeyed through the Aztec cosmos, felt the rhythm of their calendars, encountered their demanding gods, navigated the austere world of their priests, and even peered into the mind-bending realms accessed through sacred plants. Now you're about to confront perhaps the most disturbing, yet fundamentally integrated aspect of their mystical practices war. For the Aztecs, Warfare wasn't merely a political or territorial endeavor, it was a profound, sacred ritual, an extension of their cosmic responsibility, and a vital means of sustaining the universe. You stand with the hushed crowds, feeling the collective anxiety. As the Pleiades constellation reached its zenith in the sky at midnight, the priests would perform a chilling ritual. They would take a sacrificial victim, often a captive warrior, and extract his heart, then kindle a new fire in the cavity of the victim's chest. This fire was then carried to all the temples and homes, symbolizing the rebirth of the sun and the continuation of the world. As the flames burst forth, you'd hear the roar of relief, a collective sigh after hours of intense dread. It was a celebration of life, born from death and fear. Imagine the thunderous beat of war drums echoing across the Valley of Mexico, the glint of obsidian blades, and the vibrant, terrifying plumage of warriors. This isn't just a clash of armies, it's a meticulously choreographed dance with destiny, a hunt for the most precious offerings to the gods. A common historical fact is that the Aztec Empire was built and maintained through military conquest. But what often gets overlooked is the deep spiritual undercurrent that fueled every campaign. War was, in essence, a continuous, large-scale ritual of human sacrifice, a way to provide the gods, especially Huitzilopochtli, with the Calchihuatl, the precious water of human blood they so desperately craved. Each month in the Xiuhpohualli also had its own festivals and rituals, dedicated to specific deities. You find yourself swept up in a whirlwind of celebrations, each with its unique demands and practices. There were festivals for Tlaloc, the rain god, where children were sacrificed to ensure timely rains for the crops. You might hear the chilling cries of those children, a sound that would haunt your dreams. But for the Aztecs, it was a necessary sacrifice to ensure the community's survival. You might see a group of elite warriors, the Jaguar and Eagle Knights, preparing for battle. Their bodies are painted, their faces adorned with fierce designs, and their elaborate costumes, made of feathers and animal skins, transform them into living embodiments of their totemic animals. They are not just soldiers, they are sacred hunters, tasked with capturing victims for the altars. Their training is rigorous, not just in combat techniques, but in the spiritual significance of their role. It's like being a highly trained special forces unit. But your ultimate mission isn't to neutralize a target, it's to capture a living offering for a cosmic deity. Talk about job pressure. Then there were the festivals for Xipe Totec, the Flayed Lord, where priests would flay the skin of sacrificial victims and wear the skins for 20 days, symbolizing the rebirth of vegetation and the renewal of the earth. You can almost picture it in your mind, an image both horrifying and deeply meaningful in its representation of the cycle of life and death. It wasn't brutality for brutality's sake, it was an attempt to mirror and influence the natural forces they believed governed their lives. The primary objective of Aztec warfare, a unique detail, was often not to annihilate the enemy or conquer territory outright, but to capture prisoners alive. These were the most prized offerings, known as Maquiltin or captives, destined for the sacrificial stone. You can imagine the intensity of a battle, where warriors would risk their own lives not just to defeat an opponent, but to subdue them without killing them, to bring them back as a living tribute. This focus on capture rather than slaughter led to a distinct style of combat, emphasizing grappling and disarming rather than outright killing. It's like a very deadly game of tag, where the loser ends up on an altar. Historians still debate whether the Aztec emphasis on cycles of destruction and rebirth was a primary factor in their widespread acceptance of extreme forms of sacrifice. Some argue that the pervasive fear of the world's end was the main driver, compelling them to perform every necessary ritual to keep the cosmos running. Others contend that it was part of a more complex belief system, where sacrifice was seen as an act of reverence and a way to maintain a balanced relationship with the gods. You can almost hear these debates echoing through time, scholars poring over ancient codices, trying to decipher the true motivations behind these disturbing practices. These ritualized conflicts were sometimes known as flower wars, Xochiaoyotl. The academic debate still rages about the precise nature and purpose of the flower wars. Were they purely ritualistic conflicts, prearranged battles with specific enemy states like Tlaxcala to obtain sacrificial victims? almost like a controlled population management system for offerings. Or were they a form of low-intensity conflict, a way to train warriors, maintain military readiness, and intimidate neighbors, while also serving the ritualistic need for captives? Some scholars argue they were primarily a religious exercise, while others see them as a strategic tool for political and military dominance, cloaked in religious justification. You can almost hear the academic arguments echoing through the halls of history departments, each side presenting compelling evidence from ancient codices and archaeological findings. You realize that the calendar wasn't just a sequence of days, it was a sequence of cosmic events, each with its own meaning and purpose. Every day was an opportunity to connect with the gods, to perform rituals, to ensure the flow of Teotl. Even the most mundane activities were shaped by the calendar. A craftsman might choose a specific day to begin a new project, believing that the day's energy would bring success to his work. A warrior might consult the calendar to pick the best day for a battle, seeking auspicious omens from the stars. The preparation for war was itself a series of elaborate rituals. Priests would consult the calendar, seeking auspicious days for campaigns. Omens would be observed and interpreted. Warriors would undergo purification rituals, fasting, and auto-sacrifice, offering their own blood to the gods to ensure victory. Weapons like the fearsome Makiwahuitl, a wooden club edged with razor-sharp obsidian blades, were consecrated. Every step, from the decision to go to war to the actual engagement, was steeped in spiritual significance. It wasn't just about strategy, it was about aligning with the cosmic forces. The Aztec calendrical system also influenced their architecture. You can see the pyramids built in ways that reflected the calendrical cycles, with steps and levels symbolizing days and months. The Great Templo Mayor, which you envisioned earlier, wasn't just a temple, it was a stone calendar, a representation of the Aztec cosmos, with each part of it symbolizing an aspect of time and space. You might observe a general, a seasoned Tlacochtecatl, addressing his troops before a campaign. He wouldn't just speak of tactics, he would invoke the names of the gods, remind them of their sacred duty, and emphasize the honor of capturing enemies for the sun. The motivation for the Aztec warrior wasn't just personal glory or territorial gain, it was a profound sense of religious duty, a belief that their actions directly contributed to the continuation of the cosmos. It's like being told that if you don't win this football game, the sun won't rise tomorrow. That's some serious pressure to perform. You also notice that deities were often associated with specific time cycles. For instance, Tlaloc, the rain god, was particularly honored during months associated with the rainy season, while Huitzilopochtli, the sun and war god, had his biggest festivals during months linked to the dry season and warfare. This created a continuous cycle of worship and sacrifice, ensuring that no deity was neglected and every aspect of the cosmos was maintained. After a successful campaign, the returning warriors were greeted with immense celebration. The captured victims, however, faced a grim fate. They would be brought to Tenochtitlan, often paraded through the streets, and then led up the steps of the Templo Mayor or other sacred altars. The sacrifice itself was the culmination of the war ritual, the ultimate offering to the gods. The hearts would be extracted, still beating, and offered to the sun, while the bodies were often thrown down the temple steps. Their descent mirroring the dismemberment of Coyolxauhqui by Huitzilopochtli, you can observe Aztec children being taught about the calendar from a young age. They learn to read the day signs, to understand the meaning of each cycle, and to recognize omens. This knowledge wasn't just academic, it was a survival skill, a way to navigate a world teeming with supernatural forces. Imagine having to learn a calendar so intricate that it could determine your fate each day. It's like a daily survival game, with the cosmos as your opponent. The bones of the sacrificed victims were sometimes collected and placed on skull racks, or at Tzompantli, near the temples. These gruesome structures were not just displays of victory, they were sacred monuments, a visible testament to the Aztecs' devotion and their commitment to feeding the gods. You can almost feel the chill wind blowing through the empty eye sockets of the skulls, a silent chorus of cosmic appeasement. It's a stark reminder of the price of cosmic balance. The precision of the Aztec calendar is quite astonishing, especially when you consider the tools they had. They didn't have telescopes or computers, yet they were able to calculate astronomical cycles with remarkable accuracy. This speaks to their meticulous observation of the heavens and their deep understanding of cosmic patterns. It's not just a common historical fact. It's a testament to their intellect and their dedication to understanding the world around them. Beyond the capture of victims, war also served to expand the Aztec Empire, bringing new territories and tribute into their sphere of influence. This tribute often included valuable goods like feathers, jade, food, and textiles, but also, crucially, a steady supply of potential sacrificial victims. The economic and political motives of conquest were inextricably linked with the religious imperative. It was a symbiotic relationship. The empire needed captives for the gods, and the gods, in turn, blessed the empire with victory and prosperity. You can feel the profound connection between humanity and the cosmos in Aztec culture. The calendar wasn't just a tool, it was a part of them, a part of their identity. It shaped how they lived, how they worshipped, and how they understood their place in the universe. It was a constant reminder that they were stewards of the world, with the heavy responsibility of keeping the sun rising and the seasons turning. You might recall the concept of Tonali, the soul force residing in the head. For the Aztecs, the Tonali of a captured warrior was particularly potent, making them an especially valuable offering. By sacrificing a brave warrior, they were offering a powerful essence to the gods, a concentrated dose of life force. It was believed that the Tonali of the sacrificed would then ascend to join the sun, becoming stars, further contributing to the cosmic energy. It's like a spiritual recycling program, where even death serves a higher purpose. As you continue your journey through the Aztec world, you'll find that this concept of time and cosmic cycles is foundational to every other mystical practice. It is the backbone of their rituals, the impetus for their sacrifices, and the source of their fears and hopes. You're not just learning about an ancient civilization, you're experiencing a worldview where time isn't a straight line but an eternal spiral, where past, present, and future constantly intertwine, and where every moment carries a cosmic significance. The psychological impact of this pervasive war as ritual must have been immense. For the Aztec people, life was lived under the constant shadow of both giving and receiving sacrifice. It instilled a deep sense of fatalism, but also a profound understanding of their place in the cosmic order. Every battle, every capture, every sacrifice reinforced their belief in the delicate balance of the universe and their crucial role in maintaining it. It's a worldview where heroism is defined not just by valor in combat, but by the willingness to facilitate the sacred act of offering. You've navigated the cosmic architecture and the relentless ticking of the Aztec calendar, and now you stand at the threshold of their divine pantheon. This isn't a gentle stroll through a garden of benevolent deities. It's more like being introduced to a collection of incredibly powerful, often terrifying, and perpetually hungry cosmic forces. For the Aztecs, the gods weren't distant, abstract concepts. They were active, demanding presences, each with their own unique appetites, temperaments, and intricate rituals that wove themselves into the very fabric of daily life. The very structure of Aztec society was militaristic, reflecting the importance of warfare. Boys were trained from a young age in combat, and military prowess was a path to social advancement. The elite warrior societies, like the Jaguar and Eagle Knights, were highly respected, their status earned through their ability to capture enemies. You can see the young boys playing mock battles in the streets, dreaming of the day they too would earn the right to wear the feathered headdresses of a seasoned warrior, to participate in the sacred hunt. You're about to meet the heavy hitters, the deities who truly ran the show. And let me tell you, keeping them happy was a full-time job, probably with terrible benefits and no vacation days. Imagine trying to manage a team of incredibly powerful, often contradictory, and easily offended bosses, where a single misstep could mean cosmic disaster. That's essentially what being an Aztec was like. The academic debate also touches upon the role of fear and coercion in maintaining the tribute system and the supply of sacrificial victims from conquered territories. While the religious imperative was strong, it's undeniable that the threat of Aztec military might played a significant role in ensuring compliance from their subject states. Was it a system based on genuine religious conviction? Or was it a brutal mechanism of control disguised as divine will? The truth, as often is the case, likely lies somewhere in the complex interplay of both. Let's start with Huitzilopochtli, the hummingbird left-handed, the patron deity of Tenochtitlan, and arguably the most important god for the Mexica people. He's the god of war, the sun, and human sacrifice. His story is quite dramatic. Born fully armed from his mother Kotliku serpent skirt, after she became pregnant from a ball of feathers. He immediately defended her from his jealous siblings, the moon goddess Koyolxauhqui and the Kensan Huitznahua, the 400 Southerners. He dismembered Koyolxauhqui and threw her body down Coatepec Serpent Mountain, which became the model for the Templo Mayor. This common historical fact of his birth and triumph over his siblings is central to understanding his significance. You are left with a chilling understanding of Aztec warfare. It was not just about land or power. It was about the very survival of the cosmos. Every battle was a sacred hunt, every captive a vital offering, and every victory a testament to their unwavering commitment to feeding the demanding gods. It's a world where the battlefield was an extension of the temple, and the warrior a priest with a weapon, all engaged in the disturbing, yet deeply spiritual, act of maintaining the universe. It truly makes you wonder about the lengths humanity will go to in the face of cosmic dread. Doesn't it? Huitzilopochtli's primary demand was blood, specifically human hearts. The Aztecs believed that the sun, Tonatiuh, needed daily sustenance, a constant supply of Calchihuatl, precious water human blood, to continue its journey across the sky. Without it, the sun would falter, and the fifth sun, their current cosmic era, would end. So, you can imagine the pressure. Every sunrise was a testament to his power, and every sunset a reminder of the need to fuel him for the next day. It's like having a car that runs on pure adrenaline and requires a fresh, beating heart to start every morning. Talk about a high-maintenance vehicle. You've witnessed the cosmic engine, felt the calendar's pulse, met the demanding gods, walked among the austere priests, explored the mind-bending plants, and even understood war as a sacred hunt. Now you stand at the ultimate threshold, the one all humanity must cross: death. For the Aztecs, death was not an end but a profound transition, a journey into a complex and often perilous afterlife, guided by intricate rituals designed to ensure a safe passage. This isn't just about saying goodbye, it's about a cosmic voyage, fraught with challenges and demanding its own set of spiritual preparations. Next up is Tlaloc, the ancient and revered rain god. He's one of the oldest deities in the Mesoamerican pantheon, known for his goggle eyes, fanged mouth, and often depicted with a lightning bolt scepter. Tlaloc was crucial for the agricultural society of the Aztecs. He controlled the rain, thunder, and lightning, and thus the fertility of the land. His benevolence meant bountiful harvests. His wrath meant devastating droughts or floods. Imagine the moment of passing in an Aztec home. The air is thick with the scent of copal incense, meant to purify and guide the departing soul. Family members gather, their grief palpable, yet tempered by a deep understanding of the cosmic cycle. A common historical fact is that the Aztecs believed in multiple destinations for the soul after death, depending on the manner of one's demise. This wasn't a simple heaven or hell dichotomy. It was a nuanced, almost bureaucratic system of post-mortem destinations. It's like a cosmic airport with several different terminals, and your final destination depends on how you checked out. Tlaloc's demands were often chilling. While Huitzilopochtli craved the hearts of warriors, Tlaloc preferred the tears of children. The Aztecs believed that the tears of young children, particularly infants, were the purest form of water and would encourage rainfall. Sacrifices to Tlaloc often involved children, sometimes taken to mountaintops, where their cries were believed to bring forth the rain. This unique and disturbing detail highlights the desperate measures taken to ensure the survival of their crops and, by extension, their civilization. You can almost hear the soft, mournful cries carried on the wind, a somber lullaby to the god of life-giving water. It's a stark reminder that in this world, even the most innocent were not exempt from the cosmic demands. The most common destination for the majority of souls was Mictlan, the lowest of the 9 underworlds, ruled by the skeletal god and goddess, Mictlantecutli and Mictacasihuatl. This was not a place of punishment, but a neutral realm, a place of rest and eventual dissolution. The journey to Mictlan was arduous, lasting 4 years, and fraught with numerous obstacles. You can almost feel the chill of the journey, the long, dark path ahead. The soul had to cross a river, pass between mountains that clash together, brave winds that cut like obsidian, and navigate a desert where flags waved without wind. It was a spiritual obstacle course, and you definitely wanted to be prepared. Then there's Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent, a deity of immense significance across Mesoamerica. He's the god of wind, air, wisdom, learning, priests, merchants, and the creator of humanity, often depicted as a magnificent serpent covered in quetzal feathers. He represents the duality of earth and sky, the material and the spiritual. He was seen as a benevolent force, a bringer of culture and knowledge, even credited with bringing corn to humanity. Quetzalcoatl's demands were different. He preferred offerings of blood from auto-sacrifice self-mutilation, incense, and jade. He was associated with intellectual pursuits in the arts, promoting a more introspective form of devotion. He was, in a way, the enlightened god, less about brute force and more about spiritual growth. You can imagine the relief of a priest who primarily served Quetzalcoatl, knowing his daily duties involved less dismemberment and more scholarly pursuits. Oh, thank the feathered serpent. No more heart extractions today. Just some quiet contemplation and maybe a little tongue piercing. But where there is light, there is shadow. And that brings us to Tezcatlipoca, the smoking mirror. He is the dark, enigmatic counterpart to Quetzalcoatl, often depicted with a black stripe across his face and a smoking obsidian mirror in place of one foot lost in a cosmic battle. Tezcatlipoca is the god of the night sky, the ancestral memory, sorcery, beauty, war, and discord. He is omnipresent, all-seeing, and often associated with fate and destiny. He was a trickster god, capable of bringing both good fortune and terrible misfortune. The body of the deceased was typically wrapped in a shroud, often in a fetal position, symbolizing rebirth. Cremation was also common, especially for nobles and warriors, their ashes placed in urns. The direction the body faced, the type of offerings, and the specific chants performed all depended on the individual's status and manner of death. It was a highly personalized farewell, tailored to ensure the soul reached its proper destination. Tezcatlipoca's demands were varied and unpredictable, reflecting his capricious nature. He accepted human sacrifice, particularly of those who embodied his ideals of beauty or strength. A unique detail about his cult involved the selection of a young, perfect man to impersonate Tezcatlipoca for an entire year. This man would be treated as a living god, given every luxury, taught to play the flute, and would walk among the people. At the end of the year, he would willingly ascend a temple, break his flutes, and then be sacrificed. His heart offered to Tezcatlipoca. It's like being given the most incredible, luxurious, year-long party. Knowing it ends with you becoming the main course, I talk about a bittersweet farewell tour. Sweet. For those who died in specific, sacred ways, the afterlife was far more glorious. Warriors who died in battle or on the sacrificial stone, and women who died in childbirth considered equivalent to a warrior's death, went to Omeyocan, the highest heaven, the place of duality, home of a Meteotl. Here, they would spend 4 years accompanying the sun on its daily journey across the sky, becoming hummingbirds and butterflies after their time was done. Imagine the honor, the vibrant beauty of such a fate, a stark contrast to the shadowy journey to Mictlan. It's like getting a VIP pass to the cosmic light show, all because you went out fighting. The academic debate still rages about the precise hierarchy and interrelationships among these powerful gods. While Huitzilopochtli was paramount for the Mexica of Tenochtitlan, other city-states within the Aztec Empire might have prioritized different deities. Were these gods truly distinct entities, or were they different manifestations of the same underlying cosmic forces? Different facets of Teotl. Scholars endlessly discuss the fluidity of their pantheon, the syncretism that occurred as the empire expanded, and how local deities were incorporated or subsumed into the broader Aztec religious framework. Those who died by drowning, lightning, or from certain diseases like dropsy or leprosy, went to Tlalocan, the paradise of Tlaloc, the rain god. This was a lush, verdant realm of eternal spring, filled with abundant crops, flowers, and endless feasting. You can almost smell the sweet scent of blooming flowers and hear the gentle murmur of flowing water. It was a watery paradise, a reward for those claimed by the life-giving, yet sometimes destructive forces of Tlaloc, It sounds like a pretty good deal, especially if you enjoy eternal picnics. You also encounter Zype Totek, the Flayed Lord, a god of agricultural fertility, spring, and the renewal of vegetation. His rituals were perhaps the most visually disturbing. As mentioned earlier, his priests would flay the skin from sacrificial victims and wear it for 20 days, allowing it to rot and decay, symbolizing the shedding of old skin and the emergence of new life, much like corn shedding its husk. Imagine the smell, the sight, the sheer visceral impact of such a ritual. It's a powerful, if grotesque, metaphor for renewal. The academic debate still rages about the precise understanding of the Aztec afterlife. While the general destinations are known, the exact nature of existence within these realms and the philosophical implications of such a segmented afterlife remain topics of intense scholarly discussion. Was Mictlan truly a place of oblivion, or did souls eventually find a form of peace? How did the Aztecs reconcile the concept of individual destiny with the collective need for cosmic balance? Some historians argue that the emphasis was less on individual salvation and more on the soul's contribution to the ongoing cosmic energy. Others delve into the psychological comfort these beliefs might have offered in a society where death, particularly violent death, was so prevalent. It's a profound puzzle, trying to understand the Aztec perspective on what lies beyond. Then there's Coatlicue, the serpent skirt, the earth goddess, mother of Huitzilopochtli and Coyoyauqui. She's depicted wearing a skirt of intertwined snakes, a necklace of human hearts and hands, and a skull for a head. She embodies the duality of life and death, creation and destruction. She's the ravenous earth that consumes all, but also the fertile earth that gives birth to all. Her demands were often tied to the earth's bounty and the cycle of life and death. The role of the priests and diviners was crucial in guiding the living through the complexities of death. They would interpret omens surrounding a death, advise families on the appropriate rituals, and perform the necessary ceremonies to ensure the soul's successful journey. They were the spiritual travel agents, ensuring your post-mortem itinerary was correctly booked. Centeotl, the corn god, was also vital. As an agricultural society, corn was life for the Aztecs. Centeotl was often depicted as a young man, sometimes with corn cobs in his headdress. His rituals involved offerings of corn, jade, and sometimes even the blood of auto-sacrifice to ensure a good harvest. It's a more gentle deity, perhaps, but no less crucial to their survival. You might observe a family holding a vigil for their deceased loved one, chanting prayers and offering food and drink to the soul, believing that these offerings would sustain it on its journey. The grief was real, but so was the conviction that their actions had a direct impact on the fate of the departed. Death was a communal event, a sacred passage that involved the entire family and often the wider community. You see how these gods, with their distinct personalities and demands, shaped the daily lives of the Aztecs. Every season, every month, every significant event was marked by rituals dedicated to the appropriate deity. The priests, who you'll learn more about later, were the intermediaries, the ones who understood the intricate language of the gods and how to appease them. The concept of Tenali, the soul force residing in the head, was also important in death rituals. It was believed that upon death, the Tenali would depart the body and begin its journey. The rituals were designed to ensure that this vital essence was not lost or trapped, but could continue its cosmic trajectory. For warriors, their Tenali would ascend to join the sun, becoming part of its divine energy. It was a way for their essence to continue contributing to the cosmos, even after physical death. Even the common people, not just the priests, had their own ways of interacting with the divine. You might see a farmer leaving a small offering of corn or copal incense at a shrine to Tlaloc before planting. A warrior might pray to Huitzilopochtli before battle, hoping for strength and victory. A merchant might offer a small piece of jade to Quetzalcoatl for a prosperous journey. It's a constant, pervasive engagement with the divine, a recognition that every aspect of their existence was intertwined with the will of the gods. It's like having a dozen different apps on your phone, each for a different aspect of your life, and you have to constantly check them, update them, and make sure they're all running smoothly, or else your whole day crashes. The Aztecs also had a strong belief in the presence of ancestors. While most souls went to Mictlan, their influence could still be felt in the living world. Offerings were made to ancestors, and their wisdom was sought in times of need. The dead were not truly gone, they were simply in a different state of being, still connected to the living through ritual and memory. It's like having a very large, very spiritual extended family, some of whom just happened to reside in the underworld. The Aztecs didn't just passively worship these gods, they actively sought to influence them, to coax their favor, to mitigate their wrath. This wasn't a religion of blind faith, it was a religion of active participation, of constant negotiation with the forces that governed their world. The sheer volume and variety of rituals, from grand public ceremonies to intimate personal devotions, underscore this active engagement. The annual festival of Michaelhuitantli, the Small Feast of the Dead, and Huaymicailhuitl, the Great Feast of the Dead, are common historical facts that highlight the Aztec reverence for the deceased. These festivals, which have echoes in modern-day Day of the Dead celebrations, involved families making offerings to their ancestors, cleaning their graves, and sharing food and drink. It was a time of remembrance, connection, and a reaffirmation of the continuous bond between the living and the dead. You can almost feel the joyous yet solemn atmosphere, a celebration of life and its unbreakable connection to those who have passed on. Consider the concept of tonali, the soul force or vital essence believed to reside in the head, associated with the sun and heat. This tonali could be influenced by the gods, and certain days in the calendar were more auspicious for its strength. This is a unique detail that explains why specific days were chosen for certain activities, or why a child born on an unlucky day might undergo rituals to strengthen their tonali. It's like a spiritual battery charge, and you want to make sure yours is always topped up. The Aztec worldview, where death was an integral part of the cosmic cycle, meant that they confronted it with a unique blend of solemnity and acceptance. While the grief for a lost loved one was profound, there was also a pervasive understanding that death was necessary for life, a constant renewal of energy for the universe. Every death, in a way, contributed to the continuation of the cosmos. It's a grim, yet strangely comforting thought. You also observe the constant interplay between the gods. Huitzilopochtli and Tlaloc, for instance, shared the Templo Mayor, their shrines atop the pyramids symbolizing the dual necessities of war, sun, and agriculture, rain. Their coexistence on the most sacred structure in Tenochtitlan highlights the Aztec understanding that both destructive and life-giving forces were essential for the cosmos to function. It's a cosmic partnership, albeit one with very different operational demands. You are left with a powerful sense of the Aztec relationship with death. It wasn't a finality to be feared in isolation, but a transformative journey, a sacred passage that reaffirmed their place within the grand cosmic design. Their funeral rites and beliefs about the afterlife were not just customs. They were intricate spiritual technologies designed to guide the soul, appease the gods, and ensure the continuous flow of life-giving energy throughout the universe. It truly makes you ponder your own understanding of what lies beyond, doesn't it? The academic debate continues on the extent to which the Aztec pantheon was truly polytheistic, or if there was an underlying monistic concept. With all gods being manifestations of a single ultimate divine force like Ometeotl, some scholars argue for a clear polytheistic structure, while others suggest a more nuanced understanding, where the individual gods were simply different aspects of a larger, unified divine energy. You can almost hear the hushed whispers in the hallowed halls of anthropology departments, as researchers endlessly sift through ancient texts and archaeological finds, trying to piece together the true theological framework of this complex civilization. You've traversed the cosmic realms, weathered the calendrical anxieties, bowed to the demanding gods, observed the austere priesthood, glimpsed the mind-altering plants, understood war as a sacred offering, and even confronted the complexities of Aztec death. Now you arrive at a realm of constant vigilance, where the universe itself speaks in whispers and signs the world of prophecy, omens, and divination. For the Aztecs, the future wasn't a blank slate. It was a tapestry woven with divine messages, and it was their sacred duty to interpret its intricate patterns. As you absorb the sheer scale and complexity of the Aztec pantheon, you begin to understand the immense burden placed upon them. Their lives were a continuous act of devotion, a constant effort to maintain cosmic harmony through ritual and sacrifice. It wasn't just about belief, it was about action, about giving back to the gods what they had given to humanity. It was a world where every sunrise was a miracle and every drop of rain a blessing. But both came at a profound, often terrifying cost. You're not just learning about gods, you're learning about a people who lived in constant, intimate, and often unsettling communion with the divine. Imagine living in a world where every unusual event, every strange dream, every flicker of a flame could be a direct message from the gods. This wasn't superstition in the modern sense. It was a profound, deeply ingrained belief that the cosmos was constantly communicating, offering guidance, warnings, and glimpses of what was to come. A common historical fact is that divination was a pervasive practice in Aztec society, influencing decisions from the most mundane to the most monumental. It's like having a cosmic GPS, but instead of clear directions, you get cryptic riddles and have to figure out the route yourself. You've met the gods, felt the relentless march of their cosmic calendar, and now you're about to delve into the heart of Aztec mystical practice, the rituals of blood and offerings. This isn't just about gore or a thirst for violence. For the Aztecs, it was a profound spiritual exchange, a vital act of reciprocity with the universe itself. You are standing at the very core of their worldview, where life and death were inextricably linked, and sacrifice was the ultimate expression of devotion and cosmic responsibility. The primary practitioners of divination were priests, particularly those associated with the Tonalpohualli, the 260-day ritual calendar. These calendrical diviners, known as Tonalpohualli, were masters of interpreting the energies of each day. You might see a worried parent consulting a Tonalpohualli to determine the auspiciousness of their child's birth date, or to choose the best day for a marriage or a new business venture. Each day, with its unique combination of a number and a day sign, carried specific omens, some favorable, some neutral, and some profoundly unlucky. It was a complex astrological chart, but one that actively dictated daily life. Remember how the gods, particularly Huitzilopochtli, demanded calchihuatl, precious water, or human blood, to sustain the sun. This wasn't some abstract concept, it was a daily, tangible reality. The Aztecs believed that life itself was a gift from the gods, who had sacrificed their own blood and essence to create the world and humanity. Therefore, humanity owed them a debt, a repayment in the most valuable currency available life force, embodied in blood. It's like a cosmic loan, and the interest rates are, well, let's just say they're pretty high. A unique detail about Aztec divination was the use of maize kernels. You might observe a diviner scattering a handful of corn kernels on a mat, interpreting the patterns they formed, the way the kernels fell, their arrangement, and their proximity to each other, all held symbolic meaning, revealing insights into a person's fate or the outcome of an event. This seemingly simple act was steeped in spiritual significance, as corn itself was a sacred plant, a gift from the gods. It's like reading tea leaves, but with a much more fundamental staple of life, and probably a lot messier. The most well-known form of offering, a common historical fact, was human sacrifice. These weren't random acts, they were meticulously planned rituals, often tied to specific calendrical dates, festivals for particular deities, or significant events like the dedication of a new temple or the end of a war. The victims were often war captives, seen as the most honorable offerings, as they were strong, brave individuals who had proven their worth in battle. Imagine the chilling spectacle: a procession of priests, resplendent in their ritual attire, leading a captive up the steep steps of a towering pyramid, the drums beating a slow, inexorable rhythm. Another method involved casting divining sticks or cords. These were often made from precious wood or fibers and would be thrown onto a designated surface. The way they landed, crossed, or pointed would then be interpreted by the diviner. This was often used to diagnose illnesses, determine the cause of misfortune, or locate lost objects. Imagine a diviner, eyes closed in concentration, listening to the subtle whispers of the universe as he casts his sticks, seeking answers to a client's deepest anxieties. But human sacrifice was just one, albeit the most dramatic form of offering. The spectrum of offerings was vast, ranging from the mundane to the deeply personal. You might see offerings of food, like tamales or tortillas, placed at small shrines, flowers, especially marigolds, were common. Their vibrant colors a symbol of life and the sun. Copal incense, a fragrant resin, was burned in vast quantities, its sweet, smoky plumes rising to the heavens, carrying prayers and intentions to the gods. Think of it as a cosmic air freshener, but one that actually worked. Dreams were also considered powerful conduits for divine messages. If you had a particularly vivid or unsettling dream, you might seek out a dream interpreter, a specialized diviner who could decipher the symbolism and reveal its prophetic meaning. Dreams were not just random subconscious activity. They were direct communications from the gods or from the spirits of ancestors, offering guidance or warnings. It's like getting a mysterious email from a higher power, and you need a special decoder ring to understand it. Then there were more precious offerings, jade, turquoise, and other valuable stones, meticulously carved into beads or small figurines. Feathers, particularly the iridescent green quetzal feathers, were highly prized, symbolizing the sky and divine beauty. Even cotton, textiles, and pottery were offered, each item imbued with meaning and presented with reverence. The idea was that the gods consumed the essence of the offering, its tonality, its vital energy, rather than the physical object itself. Omens were everywhere for those who knew how to read them. The flight of birds, the behavior of animals, unusual weather phenomena, comets, eclipses, all were meticulously observed and interpreted. If an owl hooted near your home at night, it might be a bad omen, perhaps signaling illness or death. If a comet streaked across the sky, it could portend war or disaster. The world was alive with signs, and the Aztecs were constantly scanning for them, trying to anticipate the will of the gods. A unique and often overlooked detail is the widespread practice of auto-sacrifice, or self-bloodletting. This was a personal, intimate form of offering, performed by individuals from all social strata, not just priests. You might see a common farmer piercing his earlobe with an agave thorn, or a noblewoman drawing blood from her tongue with an obsidian blade. The blood would be collected on paper or cotton and then burned, the smoke carrying the offering to the heavens. This act was seen as a way for individuals to directly contribute to the cosmic balance, to pay their personal debt to the gods, and to purify themselves. It's like giving a small personal blood sample to the universe, just to keep things running smoothly, and probably a good way to stay humble. The academic debate still rages about the extent to which these divinatory practices were truly believed by all Aztecs, or if they were sometimes used by the ruling elite to maintain social control and legitimize their decisions. While there's no doubt that genuine spiritual conviction was widespread, some historians argue that the interpretation of omens and prophecies could be subtly manipulated to support political agendas or justify military campaigns. Was it pure faith or a clever blend of spirituality and statecraft? The truth, as always, is likely a complex interplay of both, a fascinating dance between divine will and human ambition. The sites of these rituals were often highly significant. The Templo Mayor, with its twin shrines to Huitzilopochtli and Tlaloc, was the epicenter of public human sacrifice. But smaller shrines, caves, mountaintops, and even private homes served as places for other offerings. Caves, for instance, were considered entrances to the underworld, Mictlan, and were often sites for offerings to earth deities or ancestors. Mountaintops, especially those associated with Tlaloc, were places where children were sacrificed to bring rain. The landscape itself was a canvas for these sacred exchanges. You might also encounter the practice of Tlahueli-lo-Cayotl, a form of sorcery or black magic, which was distinct from legitimate divination. While divination sought to understand the divine will, Tlahueli-lo-Cayotl aimed to manipulate it for personal gain or to inflict harm. This was a dangerous path, and those caught practicing it faced severe punishment. It's like the difference between a weather forecaster and someone trying to summon a hurricane for personal revenge. One is respected, the other ends up on a sacrificial stone. To aid the deceased on this perilous journey, elaborate funeral rites were performed. A unique detail is the practice of burying the dead with a small, hairless dog, often a Xoloitzcuintli. This dog was believed to serve as a guide and companion, helping the soul cross the first obstacle, a vast river known as Apanohuayan. You might see a family carefully placing food and water with the deceased, along with personal belongings and jade beads, which were believed to protect the soul. It was like packing a spiritual survival kit for a 4-year trek through the unknown. And honestly, a dog companion sounds pretty good for any long journey. The priests, as the primary custodians of calendrical knowledge, played a crucial role in advising the Tlatoani, the emperor, on matters of state, before a major military campaign, or the construction of a new temple. The priest would consult the calendar, seeking the most auspicious day. Their counsel was highly valued, as it was believed to reflect the will of the gods. Imagine the pressure on these priests, knowing that their interpretations could determine the fate of an entire empire. The intent behind the offering was as crucial as the offering itself. It wasn't just about the quantity of blood or the value of the object. It was about the sincerity, the devotion, and the understanding of the cosmic necessity. The Aztecs believed that if the offerings ceased, or if they were insufficient, the gods would withdraw their favor, leading to natural disasters, famine, defeat in war, and ultimately, the end of the fifth sun. This constant pressure to maintain cosmic harmony through sacrifice created a society deeply intertwined with ritual. The concept of tonali, the soul force, was also deeply intertwined with divination. The strength or weakness of one's tonali could be determined through divinatory practices, and rituals could be performed to strengthen it if it was deemed vulnerable. This was particularly important for newborns, whose tonali was considered fragile. Special ceremonies were held to protect and strengthen their vital essence, ensuring a healthy and prosperous life. It's like getting a spiritual health checkup, and if your energy levels are low, they've got a ritualistic energy drink for you. The academic debate still rages about the precise motivations and psychological impact of such pervasive sacrificial practices. Were the Aztecs truly driven by a deep, existential fear of cosmic collapse, leading them to embrace these extreme measures? Or was there a more complex social and political dimension where sacrifice served to reinforce the power of the ruling elite and maintain social order? Some scholars argue that the public nature of many sacrifices served as a powerful deterrent to rebellion and a demonstration of state power. Others emphasize the genuine religious fervor and the profound belief in the necessity of these acts for the survival of the cosmos. It's a fascinating, if unsettling, puzzle that historians continue to piece together, trying to understand the minds of a people so utterly different from our own. You can observe the profound fatalism that permeated Aztec society, yet it was not a passive fatalism. While destiny was often seen as predetermined by the day of one's birth, the Aztecs believed that through ritual, sacrifice, and proper conduct, they could influence or mitigate negative omens. It was a constant negotiation with fate, a proactive effort to align with the positive forces of the cosmos and avert disaster. It's like being dealt a bad hand in cards, but knowing you can still bluff your way to a win if you play your rituals right. Consider the various types of human sacrifice. While heart extraction was common for Huitzilopochtli, other methods existed. For Xipe-Totec, flaying was the ritual. For fire deities, victims might be thrown into a fire. For water deities, victims might be drowned. Each method was specific to the deity being honored and the desired outcome. It was a highly specialized field, you might say, with different techniques for different divine clients. The practice of divination extended even to the realm of medicine. Healers would use various divinatory techniques to diagnose the spiritual cause of an illness. Was it a divine punishment? Was it the result of sorcery? Was a part of the soul lost? The answers gleaned through divination would then inform the prescribed treatment, which might involve herbal remedies, purification rituals, or specific offerings to appease the offended deity. It was a holistic approach to health, where the spiritual diagnosis was as important as the physical symptoms. The preparation of the victims was also part of the ritual. They were often bathed, dressed in fine attire, and sometimes given intoxicating substances to ease their passage. They were treated with reverence, not as mere objects, but as sacred vessels for the most precious offering. This unique detail highlights the spiritual rather than purely punitive aspect of the sacrifice. It wasn't about punishment. It was about transformation, about releasing the vital essence to the gods. The academic debate also explores the psychological function of divination in Aztec society. Did it provide a sense of control in a world that often felt unpredictable and dangerous? Did it offer comfort by providing explanations for misfortune and a path forward? Some scholars argue that divination served as a powerful coping mechanism, allowing individuals to navigate uncertainty and find meaning in their experiences. Others suggest it reinforced a hierarchical structure where access to divine knowledge was controlled by the elite. It's a fascinating look into the human need for meaning and control in the face of the unknown. The concept of telex cultilistli, the giving of tortillas, was a metaphor for sacrifice, emphasizing the idea of nourishment. Just as humans needed tortillas to live, the gods needed blood and other offerings to sustain the universe. This reciprocal relationship was fundamental. You give to the gods, and the gods give back to you. Rain for your crops, sunlight for your days, victory in your battles. It's a cosmic give and take. But you're definitely on the give side most of the time. You are left with a deep understanding of the Aztecs' constant engagement with the unseen world. Their reliance on prophecy, omens, and divination wasn't a sign of weakness, but a testament to their profound belief in a living, communicative cosmos. Every rustle of leaves, every cloud formation, every dream was a potential message, a piece of the divine puzzle waiting to be solved. It's a chilling thought, isn't it? To live in a world where the universe is constantly speaking, and your very survival depends on your ability to listen. Even the architecture of the temples reflected this emphasis on offerings. The Templo Mayor, for example, had a sacrificial stone at the top, a grim altar where hearts were offered. The steps leading up to the temple were steep, designed to make the ascent difficult, symbolizing the arduous journey to the divine. The entire structure was a stage for these profound and often disturbing acts of devotion. You've journeyed deep into the heart of Aztec mystical practices, from the cosmic architecture of their universe to the chilling demands of their gods, the austere lives of their priests, the mind-bending power of sacred plants, the sacred hunt of warfare, the complex passage of death, and the constant vigilance of prophecy. Now, as the sun begins its slow descent over the ancient valley of Mexico, you arrive at the final chapter of our story, the legacy of these disturbing practices and their faint echoes in the modern world. You might wonder about the psychological toll this took on the Aztec people. Living in a society where such rituals were commonplace, where the demands of the gods were so visceral, must have been incredibly intense. Yet, for them, it was simply the way of the world, a necessary part of their existence. It was ingrained from childhood, a fundamental truth of their universe. It's a stark contrast to modern sensibilities, where the idea of such offerings is beyond comprehension. Imagine the arrival of the Spanish conquistadors, a cataclysmic event that would forever alter the trajectory of Aztec civilization. This is a common historical fact. The conquest, led by Hernán Cortés, brought an abrupt and brutal end to the Aztec Empire as it was known. But it wasn't just a military defeat, it was a spiritual collision, a clash of cosmologies that would irrevocably silence many of the mystical practices you've come to understand. You can almost hear the clang of Spanish steel against obsidian, the roar of cannons against the desperate cries of warriors, and the shattering of a worldview that had endured for centuries. The rituals extended beyond just the moment of sacrifice. The remains of the victims were often treated with reverence. Skulls might be placed on skull racks tampantly near temples, serving as a public display of devotion and a grim reminder of the power of the gods. Bones might be buried or used in other ritualistic contexts. Every part of the offering had a purpose, a continued connection to the sacred. The Spanish, driven by a fervent desire for gold and a zealous commitment to Catholicism, viewed the Aztec religious practices, particularly human sacrifice, as abominations, the work of the devil. They systematically destroyed temples, burned codices, the Aztec books of knowledge, and suppressed native religions with brutal efficiency. You might see a Spanish friar, cross in hand, overseeing the demolition of a pyramid, its sacred stones repurposed for Christian churches. This was not just conquest, it was an ideological war, a systematic attempt to erase an entire spiritual landscape. The priests, who you'll encounter in more detail in the next chapter, played a crucial role in these rituals. They were the experts, the ones who knew the precise chants, the exact movements, the specific offerings required for each deity and occasion. Their knowledge was sacred, passed down through generations. and their role was to ensure that the cosmic engine continued to run smoothly. They were, in essence, the universe's mechanics, performing regular maintenance with the highest stakes imaginable. Yet, despite the overwhelming force of the conquest, the mystical practices didn't simply vanish overnight. They went underground, adapting, transforming, sometimes merging with the new religion. This is a unique detail many indigenous beliefs and rituals subtly blended with Catholic practices, creating a syncretic faith that endures in parts of Mexico to this day. You might see a statue of a Catholic saint adorned with offerings, reminiscent of ancient Aztec rituals, or a village festival that, while outwardly Christian, retains elements of pre-Hispanic ceremonies. It's like trying to paint over a deeply ingrained mural. The old colors still bleed through. The sheer scale of these offerings, particularly human sacrifice, has been a contentious topic for centuries. Early Spanish chroniclers often exaggerated the numbers, using them to justify the conquest. However, archaeological evidence, like the discovery of the Zompantli at the Templo Mayor, confirms that large-scale human sacrifice was indeed a central feature of Aztec religious life. It's a grim testament to their unwavering belief in the necessity of these acts. The calendrical knowledge, once meticulously guarded by the Tonalpuque priests, was largely lost or fragmented. The intricate understanding of auspicious days and cosmic cycles faded from public practice, replaced by the Christian liturgical calendar. However, some elements persisted in rural communities, passed down through generations in secret. Imagine an elder far removed from the watchful eye of Spanish authorities, still consulting ancient wisdom, perhaps even remembering the meaning of the Nemontami days, those 5 unlucky days at the end of the year. Even if the grand new fire ceremony was no longer performed, you're left with a profound sense of the Aztec worldview. Their mystical practices, particularly their blood rituals and offerings, were not acts of senseless violence, but deeply meaningful expressions of their relationship with the cosmos. They believed they were partners with the gods, responsible for sustaining the sun, the rain, and life itself. It was a heavy burden, a terrifying responsibility, but one they embraced with unwavering devotion. You can almost feel the weight of that responsibility, the constant pressure to give, to appease, to ensure that the world would continue for another day. It's a chilling thought, isn't it? The demanding gods, once appeased with blood and hearts, were demonized by the Spanish, recast as evil entities. Huitzilopochtli became a devil, Tlaloc a pagan idol. Their temples were replaced by churches, their altars by crucifixes. Yet the deep-seated reverence for the forces of nature, for the sun and the rain, continued. You can almost hear the quiet prayers whispered to the sky, perhaps still acknowledging the ancient deities even while outwardly embracing the new faith. It's a testament to the resilience of belief, how deeply ingrained spiritual understanding can be. You've witnessed the cosmic dance, felt the relentless beat of the calendar, and understood the chilling demands of the gods. Now you step into the inner sanctum, the very heart of Aztec spiritual power, the world of the priesthood and their sacred sanctuaries. These weren't just buildings, they were living, breathing conduits to the divine, maintained by individuals whose lives were utterly dedicated to the intricate, often terrifying, task of mediating between humanity and the capricious forces of the cosmos. The priesthood, once the intellectual and spiritual backbone of Aztec society, was dismantled. Many priests were killed, others forcibly converted, and their schools, the Comicac, were replaced by Christian missions. The vast body of esoteric knowledge they possessed, from astronomy to ritual intricacies, was largely lost, leaving gaping holes in our understanding of their mystical world. Imagine a library being burned, its priceless volumes turning to ash, and with them centuries of accumulated wisdom. Imagine, if you will, the priests. They weren't just men in robes, they were the cosmic engineers, the ritual specialists, the keepers of sacred knowledge. A common historical fact is that the Aztec priesthood was a highly structured and hierarchical institution. At the very pinnacle were 2 high priests, the Quetzalcoatl Tlamacazqui, priest of Quetzalcoatl, and the Teotl Tlamacazqui, priest of the god, often Huitzilopochtli, who served as the spiritual leaders of Tenochtitlan. Below them stretched a vast network of priests, each with their specific duties. From tending the sacred fires to interpreting omens, from teaching the young to performing the most gruesome sacrifices. It was a career path that definitely wasn't for the faint of heart, or those who enjoyed sleeping in. The use of sacred, mind-altering plants also faced severe suppression. The Spanish viewed these substances as tools of the devil, leading to idolatry and heresy. Their use was forbidden, and those caught practicing it faced harsh penalties. Yet, in remote areas, away from colonial oversight, the knowledge of these plants and their ceremonial use persisted, often in secret, passed down through generations of healers and shamans. You might imagine a quiet gathering deep in the mountains, far from any Spanish settlement, where the ancient rituals are still performed, the sacred smoke rising unseen into the night sky. It's a testament to the enduring power of spiritual connection. Even in the face of extreme persecution, you might see a young priest, fresh from his training, meticulously cleaning the blood-stained sacrificial stone atop the Templo Mayor. His movements precise and reverent. His days are a relentless cycle of ritual. He wakes before dawn, performing auto-sacrifice, piercing his earlobes or tongue with an agave thorn or an obsidian blade, offering his own blood to the rising sun. This personal act of devotion is a constant, quiet hum beneath the grand public ceremonies. It's a spiritual workout, ensuring his connection to the divine remains strong. And let's be honest, it probably made him really good at ignoring pain. War, once a sacred hunt for offerings, became a brutal tool of colonial expansion. The ritualistic aspects faded, replaced by European military tactics and objectives. The Tzompantli, those chilling skull racks, were dismantled, their grim message replaced by the more civilized displays of Spanish power. Yet, the spirit of the warrior, the deep connection to courage and sacrifice, likely lingered in the hearts of the indigenous people. Even as they fought a losing battle for their freedom, the life of a priest was one of extreme austerity and discipline. They lived in communal quarters within the temple compounds, adhering to strict vows of celibacy and fasting. They ate sparingly, often only once a day, and their diet was simple, devoid of luxuries. They engaged in long vigils, staying awake through the night, chanting, meditating, and observing the stars. You can almost feel the exhaustion, the constant spiritual exertion, the profound dedication required to maintain such a lifestyle. It's like being on a permanent spiritual boot camp, where the drill sergeant is a pantheon of demanding gods. The Aztec understanding of death and the afterlife also underwent a profound transformation. The Christian concepts of heaven, hell, and purgatory were introduced, replacing the complex multi-tiered destinations of Mictlan, Tlalocan, and Omeocan. However, the deep reverence for ancestors, a common historical fact, continued. The annual festivals for the dead, while adopting Christian dates like All Saints' Day and All Souls' Day, retained many pre-Hispanic elements, evolving into the vibrant and iconic Day of the Dead celebrations we see today. You can almost smell the marigolds and taste the sweet pan de muerto, a beautiful blend of ancient and new traditions. Training for the priesthood began at a young age, typically in the Calmecac, schools specifically for the sons of nobles and high-ranking commoners. This is a unique detail while commoners attended the Telpashkali for military and civic training. The Calmecac was a rigorous institution focused on history, calendrical knowledge, astronomy, writing pictographic and ideographic, rhetoric, and, of course, the intricate details of ritual and theology. You would see young boys, perhaps as young as 5 or 6, entering these schools, their childhoods replaced by a demanding curriculum designed to shape them into the guardians of cosmic order. Imagine your elementary school having a mandatory human sacrifice techniques class. That would certainly make recess more interesting. The academic debate still rages about the true extent of cultural survival and resistance versus assimilation. Were the indigenous people truly converted? Or did they simply adopt a veneer of Catholicism while secretly maintaining their ancient beliefs? Some scholars argue for a profound and genuine conversion, while others emphasize the resilience of indigenous cultures, highlighting how they subtly preserved their traditions under the guise of new practices. It's a complex, ongoing discussion that speaks to the enduring power of cultural identity and the human spirit. Within these sacred sanctuaries, every object, every space, was imbued with meaning. The temples themselves were not just buildings, they were teocli, god houses, living entities that housed the divine. The Templo Mayor, which you've already encountered, stands as the paramount example. Its twin shrines, one red for Huitzilopochtli and the other blue for Tlaloc, symbolized the dual necessities of war and rain, sun and water. You can almost feel the sacred energy radiating from its stone, a palpable presence that speaks of countless rituals performed, countless lives offered. Today, the disturbing mystical practices of the Aztecs live on primarily in archaeological discoveries, historical texts, and the faint echoes within modern Mexican culture. The towering pyramids, once vibrant with ritual, now stand as silent monuments, their stories whispered by the wind. The codices, those precious books of knowledge, are rare and fragmented, their intricate symbols still challenging scholars to fully decipher their meaning. Yet the very act of studying them, trying to understand this alien worldview, keeps their legacy alive. The Templo Mayor was more than a temple. It was a microcosm of the Aztec universe. Its orientation aligned with astronomical events, its levels representing the layers of the cosmos. At its base, archaeologists have discovered vast caches of offerings, a unique detail that reveals the sheer scale and variety of what was given to the gods. These offerings included jade masks, conch shells, coral, jaguar bones, and even the remains of sacrificed animals and humans. These were not just random deposits. They were carefully placed offerings, each with a specific purpose, a direct communication with the divine forces. It's like finding a cosmic time capsule, filled with prayers and hopes from centuries past. You are left with a profound sense of the Aztecs' unwavering belief in a living, demanding cosmos. Their mystical practices, however disturbing to modern sensibilities, were a testament to their deep spiritual conviction, their relentless efforts to maintain cosmic balance, and their unique understanding of humanity's place in the grand design. It's a chilling thought, isn't it? To consider a world where every action, every breath, every sacrifice was a direct negotiation with the forces that governed the universe. Beyond the grand Templo Mayor, Tenochtitlan was dotted with hundreds of smaller temples and shrines, each dedicated to a specific deity or a particular aspect of the cosmos. You might stumble upon a small, unassuming shrine in a quiet neighborhood, adorned with fresh flowers and burning copal, where a family offers a quiet prayer. Or you might witness a vibrant, noisy festival at a larger temple dedicated to a fertility god, complete with music, dancing, and elaborate costumes. The city itself was a vast, sprawling, sacred landscape, every corner potentially a point of connection to the divine. As the last embers of our story fade, and the ancient city of Tenochtitlan recedes into the mists of time, take a moment to simply breathe. Let the echoes of those distant drums soften, the scent of copal dissipate, and the images of ancient rituals gently dissolve. The world of the Aztecs, with its profound demands and unsettling beauty, has now settled into the quiet chambers of your mind. It's a reminder that history is not just a collection of facts, but a tapestry of human experience, woven with threads of belief, fear, and an enduring quest for meaning. As you drift into the night, may your dreams be filled with gentle whispers, and may the balance of your own world be undisturbed. Natural features also held immense sacred significance. Mountains to Petal were revered as sacred entities, often seen as repositories of divine power, or even as personifications of deities like Tlaloc. Priests would lead pilgrimages to mountaintop shrines, performing rituals to ensure rain and fertility. Caves Oztotl were considered entrances to the underworld, Mictlan, and were sites for offerings to earth deities, ancestors, or for divination. Springs and lakes were also sacred, associated with water deities and the life-giving force of water. You could say the Aztecs were the original leave-no-trace hikers, but with a lot more blood.